I'm Jenny Priestley, Content Director at TVBEurope, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Whisper's Chief Technology Officer Richard Lancaster and Matt Roberts, live sport producer, to discuss how they'll be delivering the Winter Paralympics to Channel 4 viewers here in the UK. Hi both.
Hello.
Hiya.
So I guess the obvious first question is, what will Whisper be doing to bring the Paralympics to viewers on Channel 4?
So we're very fortunate that Channel 4 is so supportive of the Paralympics, both in the summer and the winter games. So they've given us a large amount of airtime, starting with the opening ceremony, which will be live on Channel 4 on the Friday night. So taking over some peak time hours there. And then by and large, we're going to be on air live from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Most days. So that's live coverage of the Alpine events predominantly. And then we're doing a highlight show every day from 6:30 until 7 o'clock, where Adia Depitan will be bringing up a sort of a high voltage, high excitement roundup of the action. And that's off tape, but obviously very up to date because the Winter Paralympics carries on with hurling and para ice hockey in the evenings, and those events and all the events in fact will be carried on Channel 4's YouTube channels live, so you won't miss a thing on Channel 4 at all. So we've got a huge amount of coverage to plan, and just a sort of a brief overview of those plans in terms of how we're going to cover it. We put a lot of effort into getting a mountaintop restaurant was our kind of pitch to Channel 4. So we're broadcasting live on the mountainside from 1,800 metres. Cortina itself is down about 1,200 metres, so we're up a gondola on the mountainside overlooking the para-alpine course, basically. So that's taken a lot of negotiation and has been taxing Richard and his colleagues about how to RF the presentation cameras down a mountainside, basically. But we've come up with a solution, and it should work well, hopefully.
Well, I'm going to ask.
I don't think it's not just the link. It's also everything has to go up in the gondola, so nothing can be too large.
Oh, that's interesting. How are you managing that? Because I guess if you're using a restaurant, that will still be in use up until almost the start of the games, will it?
Well, yeah, it's quite interesting, actually. There's been a lot of Italian politics about restaurants on the mountainside, because you actually need full accreditation to go up in the gondola, because it's being used by the athletes as well. So in some ways that helps us, because the restaurant isn't really open fully. It would normally be doing huge kind of, for Cortina ski events, normally it would be outside probably any broadcast company's budget, because the large Audi brands, the Coca-Colas, would take it over. But because you have to have a full accreditation to go up in the gondola, that's played into our hands a little bit. But yes, as Richard says, we've got to get a lot of flight cases and technical equipment up the mountain to bring back our presentation cameras from there. And actually, we've had to book for anyone familiar with Cortina, there's at the bottom of the mountain is the curling, which obviously we're all watching avidly at the moment. And that's where we park our RF truck to pick up the signals from the mountaintop restaurant. So we've been working with our good friends at OBS to secure that access. And the truck will be getting parked in the next 10 days or so.
Okay. So you will have part of the team out there in Italy, but you're doing the majority of remote production from your centre in Cardiff at Whisper Cymru. Hopefully got that right. How big will the team be that's working on the whole project, and how are they split between Italy and Wales?
So we are a smaller team than for the Paris Paralympics. We were up to over 400 people working on that project. This is probably around 100, 110, with 30 people out in Italy. And as all the broadcasters will be telling you, it's not a cheap place to be for either the Olympics or Paralympics. I think the room rate starts at €600 a night for anywhere in the valley in Cortina. So that is very prohibitive. So we're fortunate. We started doing remote broadcasting on the Tokyo Olympics during COVID, and that's where we did all our broadcasting, our back end broadcast operation, all the galleries and production staff. They were in Ealing for Tokyo and Paris, working out of Timeline and Ealing, and in collaboration with Timeline, we have as you said, the Cymru Broadcast Centre, which we used for the very first time for the Paris Paralympics, which is right in the centre of Cardiff and is one of the most accessible production facilities in the UK. So we've got specially designed sort of toilets, galleries, and production offices, which are all wheelchair friendly and designed for ease of use. And that was really successful in Paris, where we had 2 channels going simultaneously for Channel 4 and More 4. Here for the Winter Paralympics, we're using one gallery because actually during the games we've also got Formula One starting on the 2 weekends for our Channel 4 coverage there. So we're using it to its maximum again. But that remote broadcast operation is well established these days, and we're confident of delivering our 4th games using that method.
Yeah, I have to say hats off to you in that you're making this a really inclusive production team. I think that's absolutely brilliant. So you'll be getting the feeds not just from the Channel 4 studio, but also, of course, from OBS. How will they be coming into Cardiff, and how will they be going out of Cardiff to my TV screen?
So OBS are now offering what they call their cloud platform. In essence, it's SRT delivery. Yeah. So there's 2 separate sets of SRT encoders. One set goes to a local data center, AZ, within the Italy region. Another one goes direct to a UK region. So we take them diverse that way. And then we pick them up at 2 separate locations as well. So one set goes directly to Cardiff, where we'll pick it up from there. And that comes in over one of our separate ISPs. Then we also are on net with BMC. So the second path lands at the Ealing Broadcast Centre, our friends at Timeline. So they will decode it there. So should Cardiff suddenly fall off the edge of the world for no apparent reason, the EBC will actually have those signals and can send those onto Tower. But they will on-pass them to through BMC to Cardiff. So we have 2 completely diverse routes there. Then from Cardiff, we go back with BMC, and those will allow us to get those signals to Red B, and Red B will then obviously get them to your TV screens from there. So 2 completely separate routes. And also, as I say, if we cease to exist for whatever crazy reason, there's some DR situation, we have the ability to go from Timeline. So we are covered. We are adding commentary to select events at Cardiff. Mm-hmm. So if we fall off, it'll just be any host commentary that is present on those feeds, but otherwise it's all good. Then obviously we are still ingesting content on EVS all over the course of the day. And we have our studio. So we have fallbacks should we lose both, but that's because we have to have everything for every situation just in case. But we're confident with what we've got.
What about the Channel 4 team? They're on the ground. How are you handling those feeds? Is it the same process?
So reporters are a combination of things. So MVP/live view units. And we also have some connectivity. So that will either be over cellular, or we have connectivity at stand-up positions around provided by OBS. So we have options there. And for the studio, as Matt alluded to earlier, we have 2 paths coming out of the studio. One is an RF link down the mountain. And the other is a combination of Starlink and live view from the top of the mountain. So should we have an issue with our main path, we still have the ability to get signals out.
Yeah. This, of course, is the second games in a row where it's been held in a European time zone. How has that impacted your planning for the games this time?
It's been fantastic to see the coverage the BBC have done on the Olympics, and the actual standard of OBS's host coverage is really, really been stand out, as I'm sure people have spotted at home with drones and different replay systems, and we're hoping to see some of that in the Paralympics as well. But I think chiefly it's more airtime, and in fact. During the weekdays of the Winter Paralympics, we're even going to 3-4 o'clock with some of the curling when the GB matches are in the afternoon session. So that's probably looking at 8 hours a day on those days of live coverage, which is really fantastic to have. But yeah, I think what we'll also be doing is tapping into friends and family as well. You mentioned it's the second games in a row in a European time zone, but it's the first. Obviously, the last Winter Games was in COVID as well, so there were no friends and family out in Beijing, and we're really keen to talk to those friends and family out in Cortina predominantly, and bring that sense of what it means for these winter athletes to have friends and family watching. And we've also got a position in the Paralympics GB House, which is a sort of their headquarters in Cortina as well, where we can use, as Richard said before, MVP and live views to do lives with key friends and family and coaching staff. So we with that airtime, we really want to take the viewers to Cortina. And like you say, being in European hours as well, that's why we wanted the mountaintop position, because I think, we've all seen these beautiful pictures from the Olympics, and we just want to be at the very heart of it as well. This is a chance to show the mountains, the essence of a Winter Games, and to be doing hopefully do the odd demonstration on the slope. We're above the snow line, so we're taking our sit skis out and the like. So, with the fingers crossed, we'll be able to do some explanations on the slopes and really bring that sort of mountaintop feel to the viewers on Channel 4.
That sounds really exciting. I mean, I was actually going to ask
you.
Just
to clarify, Matt. I was going to say, just clarify, Matt hasn't got his skis because he'll be in Cardiff.
Yes, yeah,
but
exactly.
Everyone else will.
Oh, Matt, I'm sorry. When you talked about some innovations there, and yeah, we've all been talking about, I think, the AI and the drones that are being used on the Olympic Games. Do you have any technological innovations that we haven't seen before for the Paralympics?
Obviously, we're the gift of the host coverage is down to OBS, so we're in their hands for that. I think what we've concentrated on is being in the key locations, and that's had huge kind of RF and technical challenges. It was quite a short turnaround on this contract because Channel 4 and the IPC. They only sort of agreed a deal in the summer, so that's quite a short turnaround for a major games. So we've put our planning effort into being in the heart of the games, like I say, up in a restaurant. That's not been easy. There's no usable Wi-Fi, any broadcast infrastructure at the top of the mountain. It's a little bit different to the Olympics, where there's quite a few suppliers who will give you an off-the-shelf studio in Cortina. That's never really an option for the Paralympics. So we, have to think outside the box a little bit, and that's where our sort of long-standing relationship with OBS is key. Without their sort of help in providing a compound space for our RF truck at the curling, this wouldn't be possible. And yeah, broadcasting RF signals 800 meters or 700 meters down a mountain will tax us in the days faxing before the games, but we're confident that will happen, and that will be a real physical sort of benefit to the viewer at home. And we've got a studio inside the curling as well, because we just know with there's two events, the same as the Olympics. There's an added curling event, which is why probably people are beginning to realise, see a lot of curling, and everyone's getting really into it as well. So we've kind of upped our coverage of the curling as well to to reflect that. And again, we're going to have a studio inside the curling, which I think will be a real benefit, because that is one of the key Paralympics GB medal chances. So yeah, that's where we've concentrated our kind of resources on this one. But yeah, like you say, we're looking forward to seeing some of the coverage innovations that OBS have brought, and I think that those will play out really well on the Paralympic events as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to ask you about AI. So we know that OBS are using it. Do you intend to use it at all in the Channel 4 side of things, or is it?
Sorry, AI?
Yes.
Not particularly on this, because I think where we've found uses on other projects, it's in that kind of clipping and pushing clips side of things, where you've got economies of scale. But we don't do the social media side on this contract. That's in-house Channel 4. So yeah, we've not really seen a use for it on this particular games.
What did you learn from Paris 2024 that you've brought to Milano Cortina 2026?
Some of it is just around managing sort of on-air timings, because so we've got Ed Jackson and Billy Munger presenting the live shows. So I think there's learnings around making sure they have sort of time to prep and time to prep for the next day as well. So we're splitting the live show between the two of them to make sure they get adequate kind of breaks and preparation, because it's always arduous. I think particularly at Paralympics, it's arduous in terms of logistics. Getting to places isn't straightforward, much the same as the Olympics, but we have to take into account people using wheelchairs with different disabilities in different environments. So we're always a key part of our planning is that kind of support for our presenters and our diverse production team, because what might be a 200-meter walk is much more arduous in a wheelchair or with a disability. So we have to be really, really mindful of the kind of back end. It's not the glamorous stuff, but booking drivers with the right vehicles, having vehicles available from early in the day to late at night. So we really spend a lot of time on that, because what we tend to find is the logistics of getting around is much harder for our production and presentation team than it might be in an Olympics. And then alongside that, it's just making sure we've got high-end filming teams out there as well, so that we can bring the best of the action for the highlights. We always put a big premium on our highlights show. So we've got Dame Sarah Story being a reporter for the very first time. So we're busy planning her schedule out there. And we've got Alice Tai, who's probably our number one Paralympic swimmer at the moment. She worked with us for the first time in Tokyo, actually. She had an injury and she was in our studio. So quite often we see the long-term benefits of our continuing relationships with talent coming to bear. Basically, we work with Billy on the Formula One. Billy's got that trust in us that he's happy to come and work with us on the Winter Games. Dame Sarah Story, we did a documentary with ahead of Paris, and she's working with us. She's worked with us on the project throughout, actually, as an executive producer. So I've been speaking to Sarah regularly, and particularly with the sort of political side bubbling up around Russia and Belarus athletes going to take part in the Winter Paralympics. Her experience of multiple Paralympics and her contacts are really proving crucial, actually. So we're very fortunate we can count on her. And then we've got some, some very knowledgeable sort of punditry in the likes of Sean Rose will be out, who's knows everyone in para-alpine. He'll be on site with us as well to be presenter's friend for Billy and Ed, to be that voice of experience and voice of knowledge alongside them. So they're, we're well placed for those inevitable studio chats, as winter sport tends to be a bit fluid sometimes with the timings, and they've had an unusual amount of snow by all accounts out in Cortina at the moment. So we're well set for that. But I think it's so the learnings are sort of logistics, giving the right support to the talent, and then also the kind of emphasis on still, people say everything's live these days, but something like the Paralympics, perhaps people aren't following so fervently on social media during the day. So that kind of appointment to view highlight show still has a place, I think, on that.
Absolutely. I think that's all the time we've got. All we've got time for today, unfortunately. Richard and Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
No problem.
We'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much.